Hi everyone, this is Karen from Cedar Hills Ready. Today we'll be talking about sanitation and hygiene, preparing to keep it clean so you can stay healthy in a disaster. Bill Hall will tell us how to do it. Stay tuned.
I'll take on the next water issue, which is sanitation. So as we start, remember the planning assumption of 3+ months of disrupted sewer systems. No toilets. Now, remember our visualization of an 8 to 9 point earthquake after the shaking is over and you've seen to the family's safety and attended to the utility shut-offs and you've checked in with everybody. Well, then, according to my wife, the most urgent thing is always, you gotta go to the bathroom. No toilets. And you gotta go. You gotta go. Okay, hold your water, one thing at a time. We're going to be dealing with waste management. Do it yourself. Collection, disposal, and sanitation. But first, an important side note. I hate to make you wait, but one of the recommendations of our emergency planners is that after shutting off the water, you immediately tape all of your toilet seats in the house shut tight. What? Okay, remember that you won't have water to use in flushing, so you won't want to be using your toilets until the public agencies turn the water back on and give us the go-ahead. That might be months. But even more important are the rats. Rats! Yes, what we have not mentioned yet is that there are hundreds, perhaps thousands of rats living in the sewer system. And when they stop getting a regular flow of water and whatever, well, they are known to travel right up the now empty pipes and join you in your home. So tape those lids shut. Okay, gotta go. Back to water. What you used to take for granted is now something that you're going to have to attend to yourself. The collection and disposal of family waste and camping-style hygiene for an indeterminate period of time. Remember that local gas stations after an earthquake and restaurants and gyms are not going to be available for you to go potty. You're going to have to take care of this yourself. So let's size the problem that you're up against. Health experts say that you should drink, as we said, take in at least a half a gallon of water every day to stay healthy and hydrated. And if you do this, they tell us that you are going to pee a quarter to a half gallon of urine a day each. And eating regularly, you will poop 10 ounces per person per day. Now, that may not sound like a lot, but let's look at just 1 week for a family of 4. 10 ounces of poo each is 2.5 pounds a day for 4 people. Half gallon each is 2 gallons a day. So just for 1 week of downtime of the toilets is 7 times that, 14 gallons of pee and 17 pounds of poo to be collected and safely disposed of every week. I know the now of I gotta go is urgent, or it will be when it's now. But you have a volume challenge, so we need to plan ahead. Collection, disposal, and sanitation. You are used to taking that for granted, and now you're going to have to take care of it yourself. So, what are the options? Well, digging multiple holes in your yard is not recommended. We could contaminate our community water table pretty quickly if a lot of people did that. You need a toilet system. So for this, you really have a couple of options. On the left here, you can purchase and learn how to use a chemical or composting toilet that looks like this one. They work very well, and they cost up to $1,000. If you want to investigate purchasing a pre-manufactured composting toilet, you can find them easily on the internet under composting toilets. And so I'm going to move over to my second 2-bucket system. This is recommended by FEMA and the state emergency agencies. This is an inexpensive solution, and it's worth focusing on for this discussion. Actually, this was a strategy that was adopted by New Zealand in their 2016 and later earthquakes, which devastated the infrastructure in cities like Christchurch, for example. Folks liked it. It worked well. It proved an effective strategy for a very long time while they repaired their sewer systems, which actually took years. Why 2 buckets? To separate the pee and the poo. Why separate the pee and the poo? Most of the volume in your waste is urine, and urine is not toxic, at least right away. Most of the odor from porta potties and public toilets and outhouses comes from urine mixed with poo. Keeping them separate provides a much less unpleasant environment. You can actually dilute pee 1-to-1 with water and pour it into the ground. Pour it in your garden or on your compost or somewhere away from your living area. It won't breed bacteria and it won't smell a lot. And that takes care of most of your volume challenge. There are differing instructions on diluting the pee. Some people say it takes 4 gallons of water to 1 of the pee, but in any case, it shouldn't be less than 1-to-1. All right, poo. Poo is a lot less volume. On the other hand, poo contains microorganisms, dangerous ones that can cause dysentery and cholera and a whole host of really bad diseases. Remember the big quake in Haiti a few years ago? Rampant cholera. It's a very common problem when you don't have adequate sanitary facilities. So for that reason, you need to keep the poo separate and dispose of it carefully. What is this 2-bucket system? How do you assemble it? And how do you use it? It's actually pretty easy. No drilling required. What do you need? You need 2 plastic buckets, standard 5-gallon buckets that are available at Lowe's or Fred Meyer's. These buckets do not need to be food grade, but they do need to be sturdy enough to support your weight. You can get free used 5-gallon buckets, paint buckets from Metro. Just call them. And most big box hardware stores actually have them. They're branded. Sometimes you can get them free. Secondly, you need a toilet seat or 2. Now you can adapt a regular toilet seat or buy a seat that's designed for use with buckets. The Reliance Luggable Loo is what we have bought. Actually, we have 2 of them. It is sold at Sportsman's Warehouse, Dick's Sporting Goods, REI, Cabela's, any major local sporting goods retailers. It's about $15 to $17, and they snap right onto the bucket easily and snap off easily. Thirdly, you're going to need a roll of sturdy, heavy-duty plastic garbage bags, sized 13 to 20 gallons. Trash compactor bags are actually recommended because they're stronger. I think they're a full 3 mils in thickness. You're going to need to line your poo bucket with a bag so that you can empty your poo bucket simply and cleanly without messing up the bucket itself. Don't let the liner get more than half full before changing it. I'll talk about the disposal of used bags in just a minute. You're going to need a supply of carbon-based material. This can be sawdust, shredded newspaper, bark chips, dry leaves, peat moss, wood stove pellets, anything that's compostable carbon. You can ask an office for a free bag of shredded paper or get a free bag of sawdust from a lumberyard. I use a wood lathe myself, and I generate a lot of wood shavings. I just put it into a big garbage bag and keep it for this purpose. The purpose of the carbon material is to create a cover layer in your poo bucket every time you use it. Now, obviously, this will fill up your bag liner faster, but there are really important reasons to do this. Number 1, obviously, covering up your poo is going to reduce odors. Number 2, carbon is the source of material that will start the composting process for human waste. This will transform it into a safe material faster and reduce the hazard of the material over time. Now, don't make the mistake of creating a compost heap for poo next to your kitchen scrap compost. No, poo processing is much more complicated and can take years. You don't want to take that responsibility on in the midst of a disaster. And then finally, in the bucket, keeping the poo covered with a layer of sawdust or leaves will keep flying insects away, which reduces the possibility of spreading infections. We have put together a handout which has a list of elements needed, pictures, and average prices for everything in your 2-bucket toilet station. And we're happy to direct you to it on our website. There are also websites with details setting up a 2-bucket pee and poo stations. So where do you put your toilet station? Modesty might be a factor. And to keep out of the rain, there are shelters like this one that you can buy at REI or other camping stores, or you can construct your own shed. Location depends on what your particular circumstances are, on your deck or in a selected place in the yard that's flat and easy to get to in the dark. It's important to have enough room so that the pee and poo buckets are next to each other, so that you can always make sure that the poo bucket gets the toilet paper and not the pee bucket. If you have a big enough bathroom and your house is still habitable, then why not put them in there? Perfectly good plan. And you also obviously need a wash station nearby with a place to hold soap, water, and towels. Now, there are lots and lots of do-it-yourself designs for these online and ideas for pouring water, because you're not going to want to be using your sink. I'm going to talk about this in more detail in the next section on hygiene. Finally, what we haven't talked about is real final disposal. Obviously, you may need to store your poo bags for quite a while. Pickup service is unlikely to be available for some period until the utility services are restored. And it's important that you do not bury these bags. Animals can and will dig them up, rupture the bags, and create a very dangerous mess. Now, if you have an extra garbage bin, that can be a safe temporary storage for your family. Do not use recycle or garbage cans that you use for regular pickup. You will not want to use them after things have gone back to normal, after you've been storing poo in it. Your poo bin is going to have to be separate and stay safe until the public services resume. Your neighborhood actually might organize a common storage site that can be temporary disposal station for the neighborhood. It needs to have sufficient capacity, of course, and it needs to be a secure container that is safe from children, pets, rats, and flies. A final note on the assembly and use of your sanitation station. Always be careful when bagging your contents. For example, wear disposable gloves, and afterwards, always wash your hands with soap and water or alcohol-based sanitizer. Enough of toilet talk. Let's switch to talking about hygiene. More need for clean water. Now, I mentioned a wash station earlier. Hand hygiene is really critical to preserving good health. When you no longer have easy access to clean water, what do you need? You need a place for soaps and a way to dispense water. Hand sanitizer, obviously, is important to have for emergency use when you don't have water. Foaming hand soap is very handy when your hands are visibly dirty, because it doesn't require water to lather up, and that helps you save your precious stored water supplies. But actually, soap and water is still the best solution to cleanliness. Now, while I don't recommend using hypoallergenic soap in general because of its effect on resistant bacteria, it's a very good thing to have for this situation. Well, there are commercially available hands-free wash stations on the internet, like this one here. This one is Tyworks, about a $70 kit, and is available. They're not the only ones. There are a number of these available on the internet. There are also instructions on how to make your own, like the one here. It requires a siphon. You got to buy a siphon, more buckets, and some hardware. But again, there are lots of instructions on how to do it on the internet. I don't have time to do it here. The important point is to have a way to wash your hands without touching the spigot where the water comes out. We recommend constructing what's called a Tippy Tap. It's not difficult to put together. and it requires few moving parts and will allow you to wash your hands without touching a spigot. Tippy Tap is operated by a foot lever, this footboard here, and thus reduces the chance for bacteria transmission as the hands only touch the soap. It uses only 2 ounces of water to wash your hands versus 2 ounces of water versus about 17 that it takes if you wash your hands in a bowl of water. There are high-resolution instructions on how to build one of these at www.tippytap.org. Where you situate your wash station is going to vary with your circumstances. You will not be using your kitchen sink, at least until the go-ahead is announced by the authorities. So you need to set things up in a convenient place and manage it like a home. It's pretty much like camping, actually. Detailed instructions that are easy to follow are available on the CDC website, and we've included that address on our resource sheets that's on the website. We are all going to need to find ways to manage our use of water to stay healthy and alive after a big earthquake. I hope we've provided you with a sense of how important it is to be prepared to take over from Tualatin Hills Water and Sewer, at least for a while, because someday each of us may have to do that for our families. And I hope that we have provided some useful information and resources to put together the supplies that you need.
Thanks for watching. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, click on the like button, or better yet, subscribe to our channel. Check out another one of our videos and let us know in the comments and questions any tips you have. Be safe.